Bye. What's up, everybody? Welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosa. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28, and that's the one, the only. It is Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Savage. Scott, let me ask you a quick question. When are you going to change your name on Twitter to just Scott Savage, like your Xbox account?
Oh, somebody, believe it or not, has taken that from me already.
Well, I guess I'm not that surprised. But
It's a bit like the Josh fight. We got to get all together. There can only be one.
Scott, there can only be one ITG Daily, where you get all the hottest in gaming news, where you can join us live over on twitch.tv/the-official ITG, as well as YouTube at ITG Reviews every morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later inside the game.ca podcast services and those beautiful TV streaming networks around the globe. Scott, coming up on today's show, Rockstar Games website goes dark and fans are losing their minds. What could this mean? GTA 6, Red Dead Online news, a new game announcement, or just completely nothing? Leaks are surfacing about Halo Infinite Battle Royale mode once again, and PlayStation fans could be getting a new controller. Wow.
Ooh, a new controller for PlayStation. How much improvement can you make on that?
Oh, dude, I'm interested to see how this controller
I only
goes.
have one idea. How about we just move that one thumbstick up a little bit, the other one down a little bit, and you're right there. Perfect.
There it is. Yeah, they call that the Xbox controller. Scott, let's get going. This is from Michael Hardens over at PSU. Rockstar Games website goes dark. Announcement could be on the cards. Well, Scott, let's see about that. Rockstar Games could be warming up for an announcement after the company's official website went dark earlier yesterday. That's about all we know. That's about all they know right now. That's it. This is kind of, it just went black. Nobody really knows what's going on. Hopefully there's more to it than that, though. He says, with that in mind, there's a couple things we could be getting. First, is it a Red Dead Redemption 2 PS5 and Xbox Series X and S upgrade, and or a remastered of the original Red Dead Redemption for modern consoles? Both of these have been heavily rumored in the past, so it's not out of question. Going into unlikely territory, though, could we be getting our first proper look at GTA 6? With Rockstar have officially acknowledged as being in the pipeline. Having said that, Rockstar usually hypes up this sort of thing when GTA 5 was given its first trailer. It was announced and hyped beforehand. Right now, we'll just have to play the waiting game. As said, it could be nothing at all. Scott, I went back onto the Rockstar website. It's up, dude. There's nothing there.
Oh, no.
Nothing exciting.
Wow, that was a whole lot of excitement for nothing.
Sure was. Bringing the
I was
hype
thinking
and
about this. And,
that bubble.
both of those things would have been absolutely welcome. An upgrade for Red Dead 2 or Red Dead 1 coming back around.
Absolutely.
That game is still just as good as you remember it was.
Man, beautiful game.
And I was really hoping this was going to be Undead Nightmare 2.
Uh-huh.
Undead Nightmare could have been its own standalone game. It was absolutely amazing. And
Sure.
what they did with Red Dead 1, flipping it on its head, I want to see that same kind of change come to Red Dead 2, and I think it would revitalize the entire community. But it seems like Red Dead is just adrift on its own.
Red Dead is just dead in the water right now, unfortunately, from the looks of things. Dude, it's been about a year since we've had any noteworthy content for Red Dead Online, which is just absolutely crushing to the community, right? We talk about these games as service, and when it comes to Red Dead Online, it is somewhat of a service, right? You hope to have, especially from a company like Rockstar, who just puts out the bangers. Now, they do take their sweet time with everything, so there is that kind of waiting on stuff. But dude, we haven't had anything substantial come in the realm of Red Dead. It's all been over on GTA side, and I get the GTA is the bigger money maker of the two, but you have two communities going. One, that GTA can keep thriving and keep shining and going wherever they want to take that game. And dude, by the way, we need to get back to those heists. And then get into Red Dead, and then that's the bigger question is, where the heck are those heists? Right? Like, we talk about it all the time, Scott. Where are they? Dude.
I feel like they could be cultivating two giant money-making communities here, but they're just favoring one. And there's no doubt that that's because it's initially more popular and perhaps maybe easier to add to.
Sure.
But there has to be, I have an idea list a dozen long. If you think about Red Dead 2 for any length of time,
Yep.
where's heists, where's mission givers, you're not going to put a cell phone in Morgan's pocket, but there
No.
are other ways to get that done.
Telegram comes in, right? All of a sudden, whatever, you got to go back to camp, get your telegram, and then that starts whatever kind of scenario. You're able to kind of go from there. Dude, robbing a train. Like, that should be a raid within itself. Like,
Yeah.
they introduce some kind of form of a raid with this game? Like, there's a whole other thing to thrive on the community and keep them going for so much longer than what we had. So it's at nothing for the past year on this game. Even if they bring an upgrade to next gen consoles, like, yo, man, this game is stunning already on my Series X. I couldn't imagine how much better it would look if they upgraded it to the new standard of next gen consoles. Is that even possible, Scott?
Yeah, it would be more of a subtle upgrade, but at the same
Yeah.
time, take my money.
That's yo, they probably charge us for that upgrade too, wouldn't they?
Oh, I would suspect, yeah. Well, given the way GTA's update rolled out.
Yep. Here, you want the next upgrade? That's another. What it cost me? $15 Canadian. So
Yeah, I think it was about that. Now I'm kicking myself that I didn't get the single player remade.
are you really? Really?
Yeah, it's one of those games where I like to return to it every couple of years. San Andreas is kind of burnt out for me now.
The trilogy, remake trilogy, whatever disaster that turned out to be, that did not go well at all. Yeah, Kyle
it looked
bought
great
it too.
until my game just kept cutting out, it would just freeze and crash, and can't have that.
Kyle picked up the whole package for GTA. He says he wants to go back at it as well. Scott, where do we take GTA 6? Where do we go from here?
Oh, I'm kind of glad you've asked me that, because I have
you're
an
welcome.
idea for over a decade now. My brother and I have thought about, okay, what about GTA, meaning the Grand Theft Auto in the Greater Toronto area. There's a huge amount of history you could go back and pull from. There's been some shady business, some gas plants. Everybody remembers a certain Molson brewery event that made world history. There's a lot of good ideas you could pull from, and I can't get into them any further in this exact setting.
Yeah, for sure, dude. It's funny because Rockstar has a studio in Toronto. Like, it makes total sense to do that, right? Like, they're right in their own home and right in their backyard. So why not take the opportunity to kind of thrive on some of those pulp culture hits that they can really kind of take the light. That's what they did here in GTA 5, right? I think they can do that in GTA 6, but you gotta be careful that you don't fall on the same rinse repeat formula. And I think Rockstar is really good at flushing out something new and innovative, moving GTA into that next era, right? GTA 5's been going for like 13 years or something.
Yeah. Yeah, they've kind of hunkered down around LA for quite a long time now.
Yes.
What have they done? They've done the Miami similar map. They've done New York City kind of version. They've done LA.
So
and come on, one north of the border. Let's
yeah, Scott, let's get into the next one from Tyler Fisher over comicbook.com. Halo Infinite Battle Royale leak surfaces. The Halo Infinite Battle Royale rumor won't go away, and that's largely because of the files of the Xbox One, Xbox Series S, and Xbox Series X and PC are loaded with strings and references to a mode called Tatanka. Which is rumored to be the game's take on a battle royale. To this end, some new files have been discovered and making the rounds. The data mining intel comes in the way of Infinite Leaks, a prominent Halo Infinite data miner over on Twitter. According to the data miner, there are files that indicate players will be able to play the mode solo, in duos, in trios, or in quads. That said, unlike many battle royale games which have 100 players, the maximum player count will be 60, likely for balancing reasons. Scott, are we getting a new map when it comes to a battle royale, you think, or are we just kind of
I think it would have to be a new map. There's maybe 2 maps that I can think of right now in rotation that would work for 60 players, but 60 is quite a lot. And I think that's why it's limited at 60. If they went to 100, they'd need an absolutely massive map. And well, that's just maybe not so feasible. But there's an older mode, duos and squads from I think Halo 3, Halo 4 days, where you would group up in twos, not threes though. That's new. And having squads of 4, that's not in that mode. So this does indicate that it would be something new. But Battle Royale is what we've talked about for a year almost now.
Well, it's funny because 343 said that they are not working on a battle royale, right? You will not get a battle royale in Halo Infinite, which doesn't make any sense to I think a lot of us. Why wouldn't you introduce that? I think that would be a good way to bring the community back. Everybody wants to be number one at some time, right? If they can pull that off, dude, there'd be so many clips going around of victory or whatever they can achieve to get in that new highlight moments. Just new
winner chicken dinner.
Oh, winner Halo dinner or something. Who knows what you can get into, right? But it's exciting to see that 343 is still looking to continue to push forward. They just recently launched a season not too long ago. I haven't been back into Halo Infinite multiplayer in what seems like forever. You are still in it though, Scott.
I've been playing it quite a lot now. Yeah, those weekly challenges actually turns out to be pretty effective for me. I'll go in, beat my weeklies, and then I'll tune back in next week. But
right,
I've seen a lot of people complaining about the new season, how it doesn't bring a lot to the table, the cosmetic items being kind of weak, but I'm not quite certain there is a good way to do cosmetic items.
Yeah, it's tough, right? The designer's got to design some cool stuff, and hopefully it resonates with some people and really thrives for the next one. It's funny, I just picked up the new season for Siege, and as I'm flipping through it, I'm going, it's just okay, right? Like, it's just, but I support that game. Like, I love that game. So it's one of those things.
If you want to get the new operator, you have to get that battle pass.
Yeah, exactly. So I got the new operator 2 weeks early, kind of thing. So yeah, and then it comes accessible for everybody else after that. New op's pretty cool, but to have a get back to Halo Battle Royale, Scott, I think this is a huge opportunity that 343 kind of needs to bring back a lot of fans and see about introducing something else that's unique. When the game launched, everybody's like, yo, this has got that Halo old school feel, and everybody loved that. Great. Now introduce the Battle Royale, dude, and have that old school feel, but something fresh. I think that's a good step for them. And then they can keep that going too. If they can keep iterating on those maps or on a map, kind of like a la Fortnite does, dude, they're constantly spicing it up and you're keeping your community going. Look at Fortnite, still thriving to this day. And all they do is flip a couple new maps around, a couple map positions around, and introduce this, that, and the other. And
without even getting into Battle Royale, they could just drop, literally 2 maps from the past giant library of maps in Halo. And that would, in my opinion, that would reinvigorate a lot of the crowd and bring back some of those, like myself, that felt that kind of connection to older Halo. Yeah. It really is a mystery with what 343 is doing with it. I enjoy the game. I really do love it. Yeah. But I wonder who's calling the shots over there.
Well, Scott, what we can wonder next is what Sony is reportedly planning to announce is new hardware, including a new PS5 Pro controller. Because with Tom Ivan over at VGC, in a report published by Tryhard Guides, industry insider Tom Henderson claims to have heard from several sources that the platform holder will unveil new hardware at the end of June, although this won't include a new console. Described to Henderson as a genuine professional controller for PS5, the new pad will reportedly feature removable analog sticks and grips, trigger stops, and back pedals. Scott. Okay. This is cool, dude. Buttons under the analog sticks are said to allow users to remove the analog unit completely, presumably enabling them to replace it with a new one rather than having to buy another controller should issues like stick drift arise. Henderson said that he was provided with images and alleged prototype for the PS5 Pro controller, which it's claimed to have a significant software upgrades. Now, there's a few things. Obviously, we've known about and used for several years now is the Xbox Elite controller. They're on to the sequel now. They're on the Xbox Elite 2.
I never got one of those. I really want one.
I love that controller. It is fantastic. It is an absolute must. I do find it a game changer, man. Huge game changing when it comes to Siege for me. I know it's a big difference because I dial those triggers right up, so it's just a matter of a little click and boom, dude, the shot's gone. I don't have to do the full breadth of that trigger pull, right? So it kind of gives me that split second. Even though I'm not that great at the game, I still feel better, and my shots are kind of a little bit more pinpointed and not waiting kind of thing. You know what I mean?
The idea of the paddles in the back too. If you can crouch, if you can, control yourself better without taking the thumb off the stick, that's massively useful. But I don't think that stick drift is necessarily a serious issue among pro players, but
Sure.
I wouldn't exactly know. But I'm just imagining maybe you want a taller stick so it can be a little bit more articulated with what you're aiming at, and that's kind of where my mind goes.
That's what Nate uses. I know, speaking with Corey, he uses one of the back buttons as a reload as well. So you're not moving your thumb off the analog stick. Instead, you just click that and it just reloads, right? That's a time saver too. If you're in the middle of a fight, or you just flip over to your next gun and that kind of thing. A lot of things happen and opportunities arise when you're switching that next controller. DualSense controller is awesome. I absolutely love it. So if they can incorporate a pro controller with a dual sense of everything as well, dude, that's a game changer again, moving for PlayStation, because we haven't really seen any iterations on the Xbox controller in a while now. It's been 3 years since the Elite 2 came out, I want to say, give or take. So it's been a while. PlayStation back in the day on PS4 introduced the back buttons, this back paddle kind of thing that clips on the bottom of the PS4. I had one. Dude, it was awkward. It was uncomfortable, and I didn't really like it all that much. It wasn't form-fitting, right? Like, it was just this addition that clips onto the bottom, and then it's this chunky thing on the. And it was just like, man. I stumbled.
It kind of reminds me of in 360 days when you add the little keyboard underneath the controller. That's kind of what it reminds me of. But that thing was clunky.
Yeah. So if they can move that forward, dude, I'm pretty excited to see. That's I want to see where else they can push this controller, because the DualSense, you get the haptic feedback, right? You have the ability, especially I was playing Hitman not too long ago, and you pull halfway down and that's your one sight, but you pull all the way down, then you're releasing the trigger. Sniper Elite 5 had the same situation. You go halfway down, and all of a sudden on the L2, then you're in third person kind of scope mode, but then if you pull it all the way down, then you're in your full sights, iron sights kind of thing, right? Or down in the scope, and then you're pulling the trigger. Oh man, it's so cool. And we always talk about how well the DualSense rumble feels within the controller as well. It's just the little minute little raindrops you can feel within the controller. It just changes everything. Absolutely love it. And then that has got, dude, I'm a big fan of the speaker right on the controller too. If you're playing MLB The Show and the crowd comes through the speaker, that's pretty sick. I like that. Yeah,
I've only experienced that once on Wii way back in the day. I was playing some Zelda, and when you pull back the bow, the link, you can hear the sound of the bow stretch, and I loved that. I thought that was great.
Yeah, they use it well in Horizon Forbidden West as well. Man, what a huge addition to the gaming experience. It just kind of brings everything else to that next level. And if they can give us a pro edition of that, my brother was over the other day, and he goes, "Oh, you got the haptic feedback on." I'm like, "Yeah, of course I do." He goes, He turns it off. I'm like, "You're an idiot."
What?
That's my brother.
I only ever turned that off once, and it was because of grievous injury to my hand. That's the only time I ever turned off the vibration.
No, absolutely love it. Scott, let's get into Redfall campaign progress tied to host in co-op. This comes from Wesley LeBlanc over at Game Informer. Redfall kicked off the recent Xbox and Bethesda game showcase with a brand new look at gameplay. Bethesda also revealed additional information about the game, including details about its different characters, co-op, and more. Following the reveal, Redfall game designer Harvey Smith spoke to IGN in a new interview about the title's co-op and how it works. Here, Smith revealed that Redfall's campaign progress is tied to the host of the campaign co-op party, and that it's only persistent for the host, as reported by Games Radar. This means that if you're teaming up with someone to play co-op and you're not the host, you will not receive the campaign progress they might after completing a level. Quote, "So for the flow of things, you want to have to redo those," end quote, Smith said. Quote, "The story would be very confusing if you got into mission 8 and it said, skip this one because you've already done it," end quote. Smith said that Arcane initially tried to give every player some, quote, credit, end quote, for completing a given level when they aren't the host. However, This didn't work out, as those same players would then run into the same mission again when playing solo or as the hosts of their own co-op sessions. However, Smith told IGN that character progression aspects such as loot and XP would carry over to your campaign. Scott, your thoughts?
Okay. Well, loot and XP coming across to the campaign, that makes it acceptable in my opinion. The idea of the progress being tied to the co-op host isn't necessarily a new one. I'm struggling to think, is it Far Cry maybe that is dependent on the co-op host? Opposite of that would be Borderlands, I can jump into your game and you're about 30 seconds from the end of the game. What that does is it breaks my character. I become power leveled for no reason at all, and then that character is basically unplayable because everything else just dies in one hit. So there is an issue there that they're trying to avoid, but I'm not sure if everybody's going to be so happy about this. And it seems kind of weird. If we give you the progress, then you may have to repeat a level. Well, okay.
Dude, I hate that.
But then they say that the idea is that you will have to repeat the level in your own playthrough now. So it feels kind of like they're saying two things at once, and I'm not sure I understand fully.
So here's how I look at it. Dude, if you and I play Redfall, you and I are playing from the very beginning to the end. And if you're the host, that I've finished the game, as far as I'm concerned, I've finished the game. I'm not going to go back to play it again. All my XP is carried with me. All the loot is carried over with me. I just don't get the actual story progression portion of that, which I get. How do you tie that? Because I don't want to come in. I'm only at level 1, right? And then you're halfway through the game. I jump in, join your game. All of a sudden it says I've completed that level. I get that, but for me, from a story perspective, I want to start at the very beginning, work my way through it. I'm not going to jump around until after I've completed the game. If I do that, right? I think that's kind of how I would perceive myself going about this. When I finish something, dude, I'm done. I very seldom go back to games because I always want to move on to what's new, and I never tend to really go back. There are a few games, Trials Rising is one I continue to go back to all the time. It is one of my favorite games to jump back to. Every now and then I'll jump back into the world of Splinter Cell. There's certain games I'm like, I'm definitely feeling this. Got to jump back into it and play it again. But overall, man, it's just, how do you balance that, right? And I think that's the question that Arcane's faced here without ticking off too many people. Your Doom guy joins us and said, I'm not a fan of this era of Fortnite style games, laugh out loud. The humor just doesn't appeal to me. Always trying to be funny and goofy in shooters. I get that. Nate's definitely more of a serious kind of gun and shooting kind of guy when it comes to like Doom and games like that, right? So for him, he doesn't want that cartoonish art style, which I understand.
Well,
Dude, I kind of like that
see
style
why it's swung
sometimes.
that way, though. For maybe 2 decades, we had just gruff, very serious military shooters, and that kind of got stale.
It did. So then they bounce into something like the Fortnite art style. It's a little bit more kind of a new breath on the genre and stuff, and it feels a little bit refreshing. But now, dude, everybody's on it, right? So now maybe we're gonna start to turn around and get back into that gritty style again. But Scott, dude, just like that, buddy, because where we're at, it's the end of the show. Man, we gotta start running this thing in an hour. Yeah, dude, what games do we have out today?
We have Neon White on Switch and PC. We have Redout 2 on PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, XS, Switch, and PC. We have Starship Troopers Terran Command on PC. I'm very curious about that.
Are you? Yeah. I wondered.
Yes. We have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. It's really hard for me not to sing that song, as on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC.
Scott, you and I are actually reviewing that right now. We are in the middle of that game, just kind of about wrapping up our review. You played it on PC. You're now on Xbox. I'm on PlayStation. We definitely received codes pretty late on that, unfortunately. However, we are working on it. Early impressions, Scott, go.
The strongest, best intro cutscene I've seen in a very long time.
Nice. I got time to play it too. It was a blast. I played co-op with my wife. It was fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, it was so sick. I can't wait to actually gush over it in our final review and how we feel about it, because there's a lot kind of going on and a lot of returning characters, and
we have to get the whole crew together now to play 6-player co-op. That's cool.
It's going to be absolute chaos. But Scott, that will wrap up today's show. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. This has been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. You can always join us live at 11 a.m. Eastern over on twitch.tv/the official ITG, as well as YouTube at ITG Reviews. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later inside the game.ca podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Until tomorrow, I'm Drew, that's Scott, and we'll see you inside the game.